I have more gumption. I decided that was the word I would use because, to be interviewed, and I started a YouTube channel and I do all this stuff that I didn't have the nerve to do before. I survived my husband dying. I know that seems really weird, but I did not go into a horrible state of depression, even though it has been very challenging for me. We were best friends. We worked together every single day. And
Hi, everybody. Adam with Carnivore Today. And today I have a very special guest, Amy Perrin. So, Amy, thank you so much for joining me. And for those that don't know anything about you, can you tell us a little bit about Amy?
yes, I'd be happy to. And thank you for inviting me. Well, let's see. I am currently 69 years old. I'm going to be 70 in July. And let's see, I'm a fairly new widow. My husband died about 2.5 years ago. I've been on a carnivore diet for 5.5 years. I'm an artist. I paint oil paintings. I live in Maine with my dog, and I'm just a pretty happy camper. Let me see, is there anything else? My husband was an artist, and he painted me and a lot of other things, but I've been in about 1,500 paintings. Some people might have seen them. If you look up Dennis Perrin, you can see a lot of pictures of me being painted in flowy white dresses. So that was my life for a really long time until basically just recently. So I guess that's about it.
Wow, that's awesome. So sorry to hear about your husband passing. But yeah, it's really neat to hear that he was so involved with art, and you were a part of that. That's really cool.
That was our life.
Very cool. So you said that you have ate a carnivore diet for, what was it, 5 years?
5.5, yeah.
Wow. What on earth made you decide to do that?
Well, so 54 years ago in 1971, when I was 16 years old, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And at that time, they told you never to eat sugar again. So I haven't eaten sugar since 1971. And a few years later, I started studying nutrition and found out that a lot of health conditions are able to be healed with diet and other therapies. So I started doing a lot of research as a young person. I mean, I really didn't start the research until after I graduated from college. And I started doing heavy research on how am I going to heal type 1 diabetes. And everybody in the medical profession says it's impossible, you can't heal it. But I was kind of determined. So I just started reading books about health and nutrition and started trying a lot of different diets and a lot of different therapies to try to get as healthy as I could be and to see if that would be all it took to reverse the type 1 diabetes. And type 1 is completely different than type 2. And when people just say the general word diabetes, they think, you're talking about type 2. And with the carnivore diet, many people have been able to reverse type 2 diabetes because it's an insulin resistant state where the insulin can't get into the cells because the cells are already so full of glucose that insulin can't be let into the cell. But in type 1 diabetes, the actual beta cells that are in the pancreas that produce insulin have been killed by something. Oops, sorry about that. That's my CGM alarming. I have my CGM on.
Oh, okay.
And you might hear an alarm if my blood sugar is high or low or something. I apologize about that. Let's see, where was I? So I tried a lot of different diets. I went vegetarian. When I was a vegetarian, I went on like a whole food diet. So I was eating real food, and that lasted for about 25 years. The next diet that I tried was, um, oh, the next thing that happened was that I wanted to see this chiropractor who was really famous for her lymphatic massages and colonics. I thought that might be something I could do to heal, right?
Hmm.
And she tells me, "You're too sick for a colonic, and I won't see you unless you don't take any pain medication at all or any other medication except for your insulin." So at the time, for years, I had growing up and all through being a mom and all that stuff, I had headaches. I was a headache person. Probably once a week, I'd have a headache that I'd have to go to bed for, and they were horrible. And I would take basically a handful of Tylenol or Advil to get rid of the headache. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. So when she said that, I said, okay. And I quit cold turkey, all the Advil, all the Tylenol. And I've never taken it again. I haven't been on any kind of medication except for insulin, even over the counter, except for occasional antibiotic, like with a dog bite. Or, some reason you have to have an antibiotic or you're going to die. I've
Right.
taken antibiotics a couple of times, but no pain medication or anything like that. So, I'm going over my history because I think that sometimes I think my case is really different because I haven't been on the standard American diet for over 45 years. But it took me a really long time to get to carnivore. But with each step, it wasn't a mistake. I learned something very valuable with each step. Even, let's see, so low carb I found in 1996. Now, in 1996, I'd already had type 1 diabetes for 25 years. And I didn't have any of the normal complications like blindness or kidney disease, or, I didn't need a foot amputated or something like that. My complications were in my skeletal system. I had frozen shoulders, frozen hips, sore knees, and I had what I've termed, or maybe it is termed, stiff man syndrome, where it would take me a solid minute to get down on the floor so I could play with my kids.
Wow.
Or to get up out of a chair would take me about 30 seconds or a minute. I was stiff. I couldn't run and play with I had little kids at the time. I could barely do anything. When I sat down to watch TV with my family at night, I couldn't hold my head up. So my head would go like that. So I was really sick. But at the time, I did not realize that these were all diabetic complications. I thought I had some weird new disease. So I started there was no Google back then, 1996. I went to medical libraries and looked up what disease could I have? What do I have?
Hmm.
And then I read an article, a friend of mine who's also a type 1 diabetic sent me an article by Dr. Richard K. Bernstein about frozen shoulders. And he said, and he is a diabetic specialist, still is, at 89, still seeing patients. He explained that it's a complication from high blood sugar and that you had to go on a low-carb diet. And we're talking very low carb, 30 grams or less a day, and intense insulin therapy. So at the time, I was still taking only one shot of insulin a day. And his therapy was taking 5 shots. You take a shot every time you eat. You take a long-acting shot in the morning and the evening. So you're up to 5 shots a day. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, so I went on that right away, and all my symptoms went away within a couple of months. I felt great in a couple of months. All the stiffness, the frozen joints, everything went away, and it was awesome. So I did the low carb diet, very strict, for 7 years.
Hmm.
And at the end of the 7 years, I'm thinking, well, this is great. I feel really good, but I'm not healing because I still had in the back of my mind that I wanted to heal the type 1 diabetes. I still believed if you can heal other things, why can't you heal this?
Right.
So, um, at the time, now this is when it's fun to have you because the next thing I found out about was the raw vegan diet. Um, and you tried the raw vegan diet, but this was 2003. And in 2003, the raw vegan diet was a pretty big deal. David Wolfe was involved. There were a whole lot of experts involved in the raw vegan diet. It was a pretty big deal on the fringe of
Hmm.
diet. Um, so there was this kid who was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. His mother put him on a raw vegan diet instead of insulin, and he never had to take insulin. So that was my end to the raw vegan diet. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it.
Right.
So, unlike a lot of people when they do raw vegan, I knew to stay low carb. So I did it with no fruit. I did it with, no sweets whatsoever, just, well, basically salad, nuts, and fermented food and fermented vegetables and dehydrated, crazy, mixed up crackers. I had a company and everything. I had Amy's Living Magic, and I made raw food snacks and had 18 dehydrators dehydrating crackers and breads and all kind of raw food stuff in my house, making these things. But anyway, so that was the raw food diet. I did that for 7 whole years. But at the end of that time, and actually there was a big group of us. There were 3 people in my family doing it. Myself, my husband, and my daughter, and a whole lot of our friends. But at the end of about 7 years, we all started getting health issues from the lack of nutrients. And, some people were losing teeth or their teeth were rotting. Once again, it was my joints. I was getting sore joints and weakness, and other people were getting like muscle wasting. Anyway, and women were losing their periods, the whole deal. So we all decided to stop the raw vegan diet. And my husband and I went very strict keto. And I had not eaten red meat for 35 years.
Wow.
So that was hard. I started with scrambled eggs and butter and graduated into meat. And we decided we would do keto, but we were going to do it from local farms. And in Maine, you can live out of a farm. I mean, you can buy all your food from local farms. And that's what we did. For the next 8 years, we bought all of our food from local farms. And I was basically eating meat and vegetables and butter.
Okay.
So that brings us to, well, let me say that low carb back in 1996, I quit the grains and starchy vegetables and no fruit. When I did raw vegan, the benefit I got from raw vegan was that you couldn't do any seed oils on raw vegan because they were cooked. So the only oil you could have on raw vegan was extra virgin olive oil. So way back in 2003, I quit seed oils, which I think is a great benefit from that. And then in keto, I learned about high animal fat helping the brain. And that was really important to me because that's one of the reasons I jumped into the carnivore diet. My husband and I were traveling, doing oil painting workshops, and we traveled all over the country, and we were keto. So when you're in a car for long periods of time, what do? You listen to YouTube videos. So we started out listening to keto YouTube videos. And, it was pretty early in, well, let's see, it was 2018, October 2018. And there weren't very many people doing carnivore, and there weren't even that many people doing keto at the time. And
Hmm.
so YouTube just puts up the Sean Baker, Joe Rogan interview where he talks about eating a carnivore diet. And we're listening like, that's really, so the next video that popped up was Michaela Peterson on the carnivore diet. And then the next video that popped up, of course, was Jordan Peterson
Hmm.
on the Joe Rogan show. So my husband says, I'm going to do this. I'm starting tomorrow. And I wasn't quite that brave because I have got type 1 diabetes. I'm on a trip. I'm not going to be home for a while. So I said, I'll start when we get home. So I started November 12th, the day we got home. And I've been carnivore ever since. I do cheat on decaf coffee. I think that's my only cheat. And I haven't had any relapses because I take this healing thing pretty seriously.
Hmm.
And that I wasn't addicted to sugar, I think is very helpful. And I haven't had processed food of any kind since way back in 1977. After I graduated from college in 1976, when I became a vegetarian, I also gave up all processed foods. So for me to jump into the carnivore diet was a very easy transition from a very low carb ketogenic diet.
Very cool. So what was the main motivation for going to the carnivore diet?
Well, when I heard Michaela Peterson talk about what she's healed on the carnivore diet, I'm thinking, okay, I've tried all these other diets and this is basically the only one left. And if I could heal, it's going to be on this diet. So that was my main motivation. I just wanted to heal. And plus, through all my years of trying different diets to try to heal, I've pretty much, like, I don't care if I heal or not. I'm not that attached to it anymore.
Hmm.
I've grown pretty wise with all the, what's possible, what's not possible. And it's okay if I don't heal from type 1 diabetes, but I do want to be the very healthiest that I can possibly be. That's what keeps me carnivore.
Very cool. So what benefits did you see once you decided to go full carnivore? Was there much of a boost in anything or just more of the same?
Right. So by the time I was keto, I was pretty healthy.
Mm.
So there wasn't a lot. I didn't need to lose weight. I didn't have all the things that other people come into carnivore with. And my before and after pictures basically look the same. So it's like, okay. No, but a few things. So my eye floaters went away within the first 6 months. And that's not that big of a deal because, like my sister tells me, that can happen to anybody. Anybody could lose their floaters. So I'm like, okay, so that's not really a benefit of the carnivore diet. What else has happened? I have more gumption. I decided that was the word I would use because, to be interviewed, and I started a YouTube channel and I do all this stuff that I didn't have the nerve to do before.
Hmm.
Um, I survived my husband dying. Um, I know that seems really weird, but I did not go into a horrible state of depression, even though it has been very challenging for me. We were, best friends. We worked together every single day. And basically, we had these interesting roles in our relationship where he did all the man stuff and I did all the lady stuff. So, I mean, even though he cooked breakfast every day and he was a wonderful, wonderful companion and a great lover. So I lost a lot when he died, but I have survived. And I think that the carnivore diet had a lot to do with that. I have it's kept me hopeful. I'm trying to think if there's any like physical, I don't know, like I don't know if there's any physical stuff. I feel really good for being almost 70 years old. I don't have any aches and pains. I, you can see gray in my hair, but it's not very gray, and I'm 70. And I don't think I look like a little old lady because sometimes when you're 70, you do look like a little old lady.
Right.
I don't know. I'm trying to think because
So you think maybe you had anxiety before and now that's essentially lifted because now you're able to get on YouTube and things like that?
I guess anxiety, I don't know if I would call it anxiety. It was a lack of confidence for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess you could couple that with anxiety. I do have anxiety because my CGM alarms me all the time. But other than that, I feel great. My digestion is great compared to what I was when I was younger. I am so much more healthy. I don't know if it's just carnivore because I took all those steps to get here. I did all
Mhm.
those different diets to get to the carnivore diet. I do think I feel better than I was on keto. I am taking less insulin than I was when I was on keto. So to me, when I can take less insulin, that's always a really good sign because
Yeah.
that means, and my blood sugars are easier to control. It's not magic. It's not like I take a shot and I have a flat line all day long. It's not magic, but it has helped tremendously. And I love not having to, there's other benefits, like it's easy to go shopping. It's easy to cook. You
Mm-hmm.
don't spend a lot of time trying to figure out what you're going to eat next.
Right.
Um,
Let's go back to the keto crackers and things like that. So you had a business doing that. What was that all about?
oh, that was when I was the raw vegan. I had 19 different kinds of raw chocolate sweetened with stevia. I had well, the company was called Amy's Living Magic, and I had lots of customers all over the world. And I made onion bread and onion crisp and granola, and most of it was made out of flax seeds and sunflower seeds, and um, you soaked them and you mixed them up and you spread them on dehydrator sheets and dehydrated them in dehydrators.
Mm-hmm.
And we were fairly successful. My husband and I had just written a book with lots of recipes, and I was pretty famous in the raw vegan movement, but that lasted until we just couldn't do raw foods anymore. We just couldn't do it. And the fact that we would the materials that we would buy to make everything were very expensive. And then it would be mailed to us, and we would soak and rearrange and package and send it back out. There was all this shipping involved, and I had to charge an enormous amount of money, and it was kind of even. We were kind of spending as much as we were making. So it
Wow.
wasn't really enough to keep us going. And then when we all lost interest in being, we didn't believe in raw vegan anymore. So the business went out. We went out of business.
Oh no.
In 2012, I kept the chocolate part of it for a little while longer because, who doesn't love chocolate, right? But
Exactly.
but not much longer.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. So it's really unfortunate that that had to happen, with shutting down and everything, but everything happens for a reason, right?
Yeah, I would have never eaten meat again if I had stayed on that course, and I would not be as healthy as I am. That's for sure. Um, yeah.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about your art that you do.
Oh, I wish I was sitting the other way around because it's all on the walls of the other part of the kitchen. But
Okay.
um, they're just small still lifes
Mm-hmm.
um, with, pretty dishes or coffee or tea. Or I have a painting of eggs and bacon and coffee and teapots and things like that.
Nice. What do you?
And I have a website, and there's a blog, and there's a page of paintings.
Mm-hmm.
So on the website, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the website name?
Amy Fields Perrin. So I can spell it out, but I decided to go with that. Everything except for my YouTube channel is my name. So it's Facebook and Instagram, and my website is Amy, AIMEE, Fields, FIELDS, Perrin, PERRIN.com. That's the website. And then, it's just Amy Fields Perrin on Instagram and on Facebook. And I communicate with a lot of people through messaging on Instagram and Facebook. And, it's interesting because I get a lot of artists that want to talk to me. I get a lot of carnivores that want to talk to me, and I get a lot of type 1 diabetics and even type 2 diabetics who want to talk to me. And I'm more than happy to answer people's questions. I also do group coaching for diabetics.
Okay.
So I
Nice.
do,
Is that a
yeah.
formal thing, or is there a sign up process for that?
Well, they just message me and I will get them signed up.
Okay. There
Yeah.
you go.
Well, I haven't figured out, Kelly Hogan has this great way where we just press a button and you're like signed up, and it's awesome and you're a part of the group and everything. But for me, I'm not as technical. So you have to message me, and then I put you in the group, and then, you go, and you pay me through PayPal, and it's just $25 a month. And so it's not as formal, but we do meet once a week on Zoom, and then we have a text thread where we can text each other during the week if we have any questions. Like I had a woman in my group this month who had never tested her blood, but she knew she was having high blood sugars. And so she's recently gotten a blood glucose meter. She's recently started testing her blood. And then one of the other people in the group just got a CGM. And, I encourage them to walk and exercise and watch their blood sugars. And so we have lots of stuff to talk about back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And we share, when I find a good video about blood sugar or diabetes, I'll share it on the text. So it's been really good. And it's a monthly thing. So you have to sign up each month.
Okay, nice. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure that we link that in the description below for everybody. So, what does a day of eating look like for Amy?
Well, I eat 3 times a day. The reason I do that is because it's easier for a type 1 diabetic to take a small shot of insulin for a meal. And if I was to have to do like 1 meal a day or even 2 meals a day, it would take more insulin, and it would be more guesswork. So I eat eggs and bacon for breakfast. I eat sunny side up eggs most days, and a couple of slices of bacon. Then at lunch, I will usually have some kind of beef or even pork, just some kind of, I don't eat many steaks because I'm I just don't have as much money as I did when I was married.
Right.
And so I usually eat like a burger and bacon, or I might have a cheap rib, pork roast, or I might buy a brisket and cut it up into roast and bake it, or I might have a short ribs, or some cut of beef that I found on sale. So that's what I do at lunch usually. And then for supper, well, most nights I have a burger scramble or just a burger and bacon. It depends on what I ate for lunch. But, I probably have maybe 10 different meals that I rotate. And, it just depends on what mood I'm in.
That all sounds delicious to
Yeah,
me.
basically I'm on beef, butter, bacon, and eggs most of the time until I get up the nerve to try the Lion Diet again.
Okay. Yeah, so you tried that before in the past?
I did 3 months of the Lion Diet in
Okay.
2020,
Mhm.
July, August, and September of 2020. And it was amazing. I didn't I didn't love it. So I was eating a lot of lamb and a lot of beef. And I got my insulin requirements all the way down to only 6 units a day. Now, normally I take about 10, I'll say 10 to 15 units, depending on my meals or how much exercise I'm getting.
Mhm.
Um, Probably most of the time it's around 12 or 13 units of insulin. So on the Lion Diet, I got it all the way down to only 6 units of insulin and no overnight insulin, which was amazing.
Wow.
And I really kind of thought that I might be able to get off of insulin, but after 3 months, I couldn't I couldn't stick to it. It felt like it wasn't really gonna get me off of insulin, and the fact that I really missed bacon and eggs and decaf.
Right.
And so every month I think, "Oh, should I try Lion Diet this month?" And I I've done it 1 month at I was gonna try to do, like a GAPS approach
Mhm.
to the Lion Diet, so I did beef with broth, like a beef soup for every meal, for a month. And I did not, for some reason, I did not have the reduction of insulin on that I had on the other form of Lion Diet that I did before. So that was pretty
Interesting.
interesting. And I never
Mhm.
figured out why.
Yeah, that's interesting. That'd be nice to know exactly what caused that.
I don't know. The only thing I can do is to try the Lion Diet again and see, I don't
Right,
know.
right. So basically, there isn't as much enough of a difference between carnivore and lion diet for you to say, I need to do the lion diet long term in regards to your insulin. Is that right?
Yes, that's pretty much it. And I think it's interesting with the people that most of the people that go on the Lion Diet, they're dealing with pain or something like that shows on their body, like a skin condition that, they've got eczema all over their body or they have horrible joint pain. And I think that make or even stomach pain. I think it makes it easier to go Lion if it's something like that. For
Mhm.
me, it's just a few less insulin doses, a few less units of insulin. So it's harder for me to stay, and maybe this is just an excuse. I don't know. But it's harder for me to stay on the Lion Diet because it's only like, there's nothing drastic, I guess, enough.
Right,
No, there's no pain involved. I
right.
mean, you'll do anything to keep out of pain, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So in terms of, basically, like let you said, for instance, you were at 13 units, and then you were at 6 units on the lion diet. Do you physically feel anything differently when you're taking a different amount of insulin?
No, not really. No, I don't feel any different. No.
Okay.
No, it's just my blood sugars would go low, so the next day I would take less insulin. Then my blood sugars would go low, and then the next day I would take less. And so it just gradually got down to only needing 6 units. I still had to take 5 shots a day. Every now and then, I wouldn't need a shot for a meal, but most of the days, I'm still taking 5 shots a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so I guess probably everybody's wondering at this point, since you had such a successful business with the vegan items before, are you going to start one with carnivore products?
That I've been wondering myself why I have not been a recipe queen. Because that was always like when I got into vegetarianism, I got into tofu and I made tofu cookbooks. And my tofu tasted amazing because I made up all these cool recipes. And
You
then
had
when
to
I
have
be
been good if tofu tasted good.
Oh, it was. I was amazing. And everybody loved my tofu. I'd bring it to potlucks and it would all get eaten. It was amazing. With the raw vegan diet, I made up all these cool recipes. I was an amazing chef. And, I would be the chef for a superhero seminar and for lots of people.
Hmm.
And I made up all these amazing recipes and wrote a cookbook. But in carnivore, I think I just appreciate the simplicity of it. And that's for me, it's part of the carnivore zen. It's part of feeling so calm and good on it, is that you don't have to do a lot of recipes. And I think I'm also enjoying the break from concocting recipes in my kitchen. I'm kind of like, let somebody else do that. And actually, I don't have the money to invest. And if I was going to do some kind of, carnivore crisp or some other, it's like I did that when I did raw food. It's really hard to make money. It's really hard to make money rearranging food and shipping it to people. It's, I mean, you have to be pretty set up. Part of my problem with the raw vegan thing was probably because I was still doing it outside of my house and I didn't want to go into a big facility
Hmm.
and invest a lot of money. So I'm just going to let somebody else do that.
There you go.
And yeah,
Just buy their product. Easy
that's
buy.
right.
That's kind of the way a lot of us carnivores do, anyways. It's so easy and so simple to eat on this diet that why complicate things more? Why complicate your life more?
Yeah,
And
I
enjoy
mean,
the carnivores in.
yeah, when I want a treat, I make an oopsie cake. I do that for like birthdays. If my birthday's coming up in 2 months, I'm probably going to make myself an oopsie cake. Um, and that's Kelly Hogan's recipe. If anybody is curious, it's
What what is
delicious.
what is that?
It's delicious. It's like angel food cake. It's amazing, and it's really the cake part is made out of eggs and cream cheese, and the icing is made out of um, heavy whipping cream.
Hmm.
And you don't put any sweetener in it. Now, I do put vanilla in the cake part, but
Hmm.
it's amazing. It tastes better than cake. It's moist and delicious.
Interesting.
And what I finally realized to get my family to eat it, because I was bringing it to family events and nobody was eating it. And I was so sad because I thought it was delicious.
Right.
I finally realized that it tastes a lot like classic shortcake, the kind that you would buy for strawberry shortcake,
Hmm.
those little shortcakes, and then
Yeah.
you put the strawberries on it, and then you put the whipped cream on top.
Right.
Well, that's what it tastes like. So I told my family to have berries, and I would bring the oopsie cake. Well, I had one success. So when was that? There was Easter. Did I make it for Easter? I think I made it for Easter for the family, and my grandson loved it. He poured strawberries all over his, and he ate it. He ate like 2 pieces, and he loved it. And my daughter liked it pretty much, and she brought some home. So I wasn't the sole person eating what oopsie
Good.
cake. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah, definitely have to give that a try. I'm not big on carnivore recipes just because I don't have a lot of free time. So, it's basically just this food is nutrients to me and it's not pleasure. So I don't want to spend any time on it whatsoever. Just,
No, and you don't need to. But, for a celebration, it's fun for me. And
yeah,
you know, yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
So, do you have a YouTube channel yet?
I do. But boy, I need a tutor. I'll tell you that much. I do. I have several videos up, but I've kind of hit my anyway, yes, my YouTube channel is Brisket Boomers because it's specifically for people around my age, you
Okay.
know. But I think I have subscribers that are quite a bit younger, but and quite a bit older. But that's what it's called, Brisket Boomers. My daughter thought of that, and I liked it. So, um,
I love
and
that.
my most popular video is carnivore and dementia. Um, and dementia is one of the reasons I stay on carnivore, even though I would never not do carnivore because I love it so much and I believe in it so much.
Hmm.
But I really believe that it's the way to go with dementia. And I think there's so many people my age and older that have dementia. They're on statins because they're afraid of their cholesterol. And there's so many people that I had a friend who was afraid to do anything that his doctor didn't tell him to do. And basically, that's why I wanted to start the channel because you've got to be brave if you're going to be carnivore and old.
Hmm.
You can't just, you have to do more research. You can't just do what your doctor tells you to do and stay healthy. And I worry about people I know that are on statins and I'm worried and on standard American diet, and they're gonna lose their ability to function. So that's why I started. But I really would love help from somebody to do more than just sit in my chair. This is what all my videos look like of me sitting in my chair. I haven't figured out how to do that was my husband's specialty. He could video and make all kind of cool movies, and he did that with his art and made all these courses, and he understood about editing and all that kind of stuff, and I'm kind of on my own. So far I make a video, I'm sitting in my chair in my kitchen with my cast iron pans behind me, talking, and I guess
Cool.
there's nothing wrong with that, but
No?
I love when people, do all this editing and have all these pictures and stuff on their YouTube videos, but maybe I'll get there. Who knows?
Yeah, the information is what's important. So, you could have I don't know, pick any important person. Tony Robbins, right? Like you could literally have Tony Robbins talking and the screen was blank, right? And he'll still tune in for his wisdom and knowledge. So, you've done raw vegan, you've done vegan, vegetarian, carnivore, keto. Do you have a preference of any of those?
Of course, I love carnivore, but it was so funny because there was 35 years that I did not eat red meat, which is pretty interesting. My kids grew up with occasional chicken and turkey, and and luckily I knew enough to feed them eggs and cheese. But when I was 60 years old, they gave me a grill, and they were so excited because we had never had a grill.
Wow.
And it's just interesting that after all those, different crazy diets, I love the carnivore the best because I feel the best. I do feel the best on this diet for sure. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Amy, it was absolute pleasure talking with you today and getting to know you a little bit better. And I'm definitely going to make sure that I put all those links in the description below. So if anybody wants to connect with Amy and do some coaching, once a month, or is it more than once a month?
Oh, well, if you sign up for a month, you get once a week.
Okay, once a week.
Yeah, and you get a Zoom once a week. Yep.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to sign up with Amy and connect with her once a week, which I highly recommend. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. And yeah, so with that, thank you so much for being here, and I truly appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.